to iHorror, the official podcast of iHorror.com. This is episode 157, otherwise known as season 8, episode 17, otherwise known as our season finale, season 8, which means it's top 10 list time. I am your host, James J. Edwards, and with me, as always, is your other host, Jacob Davidson. How you doing, Jacob?
Doing well, just embracing post-Christmas. I had a great time yesterday, got some ramen, met up with a friend to see the Marx Brothers and Agnes Hill at the New Bev. Just kind of kept things casual.
Cool. I actually have almost a week with no events for the day job, so it's almost like vacation. It's awesome. Also with us, as always, is your other host, John Correia. Hey, how you doing, Correia?
Doing good. I started a part-time job at a major movie chain, something to do in the evenings and weekends because we live in a capitalist society. So if you're not spending every waking moment making someone else money, you're not contributing. But it's been fun. So I worked Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, and I gotta say the vibes of people who go see movies on Christmas Day are fine. Like, they're fine, but they're messy. You're a bunch of messy persons. Also, one of the things I've learned, people who go see Angel Studio movies, I've run the numbers, I've run the statistics. Not a lot of you, but you all give off homeschool energy. Actually, no. Before we get into top tens, I have a mystery I need to solve. Who's eating mayonnaise in a movie theater? What are you putting that on?
Oh my gosh.
What are you putting mayonnaise on? I guess maybe the hot dogs, and the chicken tenders, shouldn't be going through that much mayonnaise.
Yeah, are you selling mayonnaise?
No, it's just in the condiment thing. I refilled a lot of mayonnaise the last few days, and it's like, why? What are you putting mayonnaise on? Popcorn? Nasty.
Nah. People are stealing it.
Good.
They're bringing it home for their turkey sandwiches or whatever. Oh wait, that's Thanksgiving. Anyway, let's move on to our top tens because this is always a fun and lengthy one.
Yeah,
always an epic.
Let's go. Okay, I'm gonna rig it so that I go first. Let's go reverse alphabetical order by last name.
Sure.
I always just pull these out of my butt.
Yeah, let's do it. But before we do get into it, let's remind everyone we haven't seen every movie. This is our own personal opinions.
Yeah.
This is just the 10 films that we are most excited about and want to shout to the world. We haven't seen every movie. Life gets in the way. Some of us get lost in watching a show about gay hockey players for the last month, And
even if we have seen every movie, these lists are subjective.
Yeah.
I mean, there are movies that I like that you guys hate, I'm sure. But, and one thing before we get started, I just want to say, this is I do a top 10 list for my written outlet every year too. This is the first year I can remember that the horror one is the same as the other one. And that just part of it is because nothing non-horror has really excited me. I mean, it's stuff like Marty Supreme, Jay Kelly, those were fine, but nothing that really excited me. But also there's just been so much good horror this year. Mm-hmm. So much good horror. So yeah, there's going to be stuff not on our lists that people are going to be upset about. And that's fine because they're on your list. With that, let's get started. Number 10. My number 10 is Presence.
Ooh.
And I liked Presence because I thought it was just such a fresh take on the haunted house, the haunted house genre. Being from the point of view of the ghost, and it's questionably horror because it's not super scary, but it's just such a creepy. It's more of an atmosphere thing than an actual boo scary. I feel like Steven Soderbergh does. He did 2 movies this year. Black Bag paid the bills. I feel like Presence was his passion project. That's the movie that he wanted to make, his experimental one. But and that ending, the ending of Presence, when you find out who the Presence is, yikes. Yep. So Presence, my number 10. What about you, Jacob?
All right, coming in at number 10 is Heart Eyes by Josh
Nice.
Rubin.
Ooh.
Yeah, no, I had a real fun time with this one, and it is nice to see kind of a more traditional, straight up slasher get a mainstream release like that, especially a holiday one, because, it's a whole Valentine's Day killer thing, kind of in the line of My Bloody Valentine. But I love that Josh Rubin pitched it literally as Sleepless in Seattle meets Friday the 13th, Part 6, Jason Lives, those specifically. And it shows. Like as soon as I saw it, I knew that opening kill, minor spoilers, involving the wine press was going to be making it into the Fangoria best of list by next year. So I've still got a bet on that. And yeah, it's just a really fun and gory slasher movie with a shtick, and had a great time seeing it at the Cinematheque. And yeah, no, it was a solid slasher horror rom-com.
Cool. Correia, number 10.
My number 10, and this will be I guess the first time we agree on something ever, not ever, is Steven Soderbergh's Presence.
Nice. Cool.
I really loved that film. First and foremost, I loved that house and just wanted to explore that house as much as possible. That's just that's the millennial in me wanting real estate and never being able to. But no, I thought it was really gorgeous. It was really well done. It like a classic ghost story. It's not about the ghost. The ghost is just kind of like the thing that brings the audience in and kind of moves things forward. And it was more about this family falling apart. And I really, really dug it. And I loved how it was voyeuristic, but not sleazy. And the performances were amazing. Lucy Liu was phenomenal in that. So I really loved Presence. And yeah, I just want more atmospheric ghost stories that are about family drama. I'm all about that shit.
Yeah, that's the thing about Presence. It's just more atmosphere than actual, boo scares. But yeah, I loved it. So we already have a dupe. That's awesome.
I feel like we're gonna have a few.
Oh, I'm absolutely positive. Yeah. Number 9. My number 9 is Oz Perkins' Keeper.
Ooh.
And there were 2 Oz Perkins movies this year, and we may be hearing about The Monkey later, but Keeper for me was just it was the more subtle of the, and we talked at length with the composer about this. It's just so subtle and downplayed, but when it gets to the payoff, man, does it get to the payoff. But yeah, I Keeper, it's another one of those that's almost more about atmosphere than actual, in your face scares. And it's also one of those movies where the whole time you're going, what the hell's going on? This better stick the landing. And in my opinion, it stuck the landing. I liked Keeper. Jacob, number 9.
Okay, coming in at number 9 is Final Destination Bloodlines.
Nice.
Right.
Again, this is horror that's being fun. And oddly, I think this might have been one of the more accessible Final Destination films. Again, because it's starting fresh and having its own angle. I did like the whole thing with, the bloodlines, and that it's like death working through the entire lineage of these people who survived. Take a step back. The Sky Needle non-copyright massacre is definitely one of the best disaster sequences for the entire franchise. And I think there is a cool angle to having that sort of period section set in the 60s. But yeah, there's the whole thing with the penny and the piano pancaking that kid. Just is pure gold.
That kid, of all the Final Destination deaths, that kid is probably the one that the whole theater was like, yeah, that kid.
Yeah, no, that got some cheers from my audience too. That little piece of shit had it coming. But yeah, no, just it was a solid Final Destination setup, and also very emotional, being the final appearance by Tony Todd, who gave that incredible monologue about not taking life for granted and making use of the time you have, which is kind of the core message of the Final Destination movies. Like, you can be enjoying life one day, and then you could get dumped into a garbage truck and squished to pieces, or accidentally fall into a lawnmower. Who's to say? But I got to give Final Destination Bloodlines a kudos because it also made number 2 in John Waters' top 10 best of the year as well.
Oh, he loves that franchise so much.
Yeah.
When I remember he did a program at a theater once, and it was movies I wish I directed. And he had Final Destination on there, and he basically said like he would love to make a Final Destination movie, and that's all I fucking want in this world.
John Waters' Final Destination.
Why hasn't this happened? Why hasn't this happened yet? He's already in.
Like he would come up with just the sleaziest and most bizarre deaths possible. Just let them go to town.
Let me just say this: if I win the lottery, I won't say anything, but you'll know. You'll
get
know.
A producer credit in John Waters' Final Destination.
That film will be greenlit tomorrow. I get the check, greenlit.
All right, Correia, what's your number 9?
Number 9. And fuck you, anyone who argues with me. That's right. I'm getting defensive right now.
Do we have controversy?
If there is, I'm fighting. I'll take the shirt off and meet you behind the Denny's. My number 9 is The Day the Earth Blew Up, a Looney Tunes movie.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah, baby. Not only was this just chock full of classic Looney Tunes escapades, humor, what have you, the modern humor slapped really hard. I don't think I can think of a thing that I laughed at harder than Father Jim in recent time. Just any moment he showed up was just the funniest thing ever. It was very classic. It was in that mold of like 1950 sci-fi films like The Day the Earth Stood Still and other alien invasion movies. And you know what? We haven't had a good alien invasion movie that's like that in quite some time. So on so many levels, it works really well. It's funny. It's very sci-fi. There's some horrific imagery in there. And yeah, I'm just glad the gang is back. I want more Looney Tunes. Where the fuck is Coyote versus Acme?
that keeps coming and going, like with lawsuit. It's going to be released. Nope, never released. Going to be released, never released. So I don't know. I would love to see it too.
I think Ketchup's releasing it next year because they did good with this one.
Yeah, no, it's definitely coming out next year. It's August of next year.
August. Okay. I just hope they give it the full distribution that it absolutely deserves, because they also released Hellboy the Crooked Man, which went straight to Vudu in the States pretty much. So
yeah.
All right, number 8. My number 8 is Vicious, which kind of snuck up on me. It was technically a Screamfest title, but it just kind of popped up on Paramount Plus, and I'm a big fan of Brian Bertino. And I didn't know that this was coming out, and I'm also a big fan of Dakota Fanning. So it was kind of like a 1-2 punch for me. And this is just such a dirty, mean, this movie, like a lot of Bertino's movies, it's just this mean-spirited, ugly, one of those movies you watch through your fingers and you're cringing the whole time. You're like, no, you did that. That kind of a thing. So
yeah.
Yep.
It's pretty vicious.
It's vicious. It earns its name. So yeah, number 8 for me is Vicious.
It's like that one tweet where someone says, about to watch John Carpenter's thing, and by the end of it, I will have a better name for whatever that thing is.
Yeah.
And then they finish it and they go, couldn't come up with anything better. That is the thing. Yeah.
That's the thing.
That's with this title. Or Hider in the House. I'm going to come up with a better title for this. Nope. That's the title.
He's a hider. He's in the house. What more do you need?
The alternate title is Gary Busey in the Walls. That's it. That's all I could come up with.
Yeah, I mean that has a hook too.
Yeah, that's the tagline.
All right. Jacob, number 8.
Speaking of vicious, coming in at number 8 is Osgood Perkins' adaptation of Stephen King's The Monkey.
Nice.
And yeah, no, I was kind of neck and neck between The Monkey and Final Destination in terms of bizarre, Rube Goldbergian or disaster type of deaths, but The Monkey just kind of edged out Final Destination for me because I think it was a little funnier and had a lot of good kill sequences to it, like the shotgun blast closet thing. Like that just got the audience going. Oh, and also the lady jumping into the electrified pool and just straight up exploding. Yeah, just every one of those were a banger with the audience. And also I just like that little monkey with the drum. You know, he's a funky little monkey. Yeah, and yeah, I mean it was a lot of fun. And again, it has kind of a similar message that, you know, just kind of pointing out the absurdity of life and death, you know, just that anything crazy can, you know, just take us out at any moment. And also it has the immortal line that little monkey that's been killing our family is back, from Theo James.
It's such a great line.
The monkey, to me, the whole movie, the monkey can be summed up in that bee death.
Oh yeah, the bees. Yeah, that was
just, it's just the whole thing is just so over the top, and that bee death summarizes it to me
Beautifully.
Oh yeah.
Correia, number 8.
Listen, I already had one Looney Tunes ass wacky movie on my top 10 list. Let's double it up. My number 8 is also the monkey.
Nice.
It's again the tone, the humor. It's so over the top. It's so Looney Tune. The death. I mean, the exploding woman. Everything about it. But at its core, it's nihilistic as fuck. But there was still like some like really great character dynamics about family, and it was just juggling a lot, and I thought it balanced it really well. Shout out to Tatiana Maslany for like really anchoring the fuck out of that movie and really keeping it in with such a wacky world that they created. Her character and her performance really kind of kept it in a grounded reality so that we could still relate. But yeah, I mean, it beat you over the head with everything with a rubber hammer, to the point where at the end there's just a school bus going by on fire full of cheerleaders, and Theo James just shrugs, just all right, and it's like, yeah, that sums it up. That's the movie, if anything, I think.
Yeah,
it's great. I loved it. Yeah.
All right. Well, speaking of Stephen King, my number 7 is The Long Walk.
Ooh.
And The Long Walk to me was another one. I love that it was written by J.T. Molnar, because you could tell from Strange Darling that this guy has a way of writing dialogue that is, I mean, he does it like Aaron Sorkin style. I mean, like you can't not listen to his dialogue. And so much of The Long Walk is them walking and talking. So the conversations are what really makes the movie. Of course, what makes it a horror movie is, you know, every 5 minutes someone dies violently, but it's the in between the violent deaths where you get to know these characters that really makes the movie stand out to me. And Molnar's script, along with David Johnson and Cooper Hoffman, they're the heart of the movie. And I just think Long Walk was a terrific adaptation of a Stephen King movie that, you know, let's face it, did we ever think it was going to be made into a movie?
No.
Yeah.
I mean, this one's on my honorable mention, so I do want to say that like it's one of those ones where like this could be really bad very quickly. This could have been done very poorly, and I thought they balanced it between the dialogue and who they casted, because again, that cast, Cooper Hoffman, David Johnson, but also like Garrett Waring, we got Charlie Plummer who we know is amazing, but like what's going against type, Ben Wang, Mark Hamill as the major.
Oh,
I mean,
my God.
but like that group of young men, I genuinely say that this movie in 10 years, people are going to be like, hey, did you know that all these big like award-winning actors were in the Stephen King adaptation 10 years ago? And it's like, yeah, it's yeah.
This is their Stand By Me. Yeah.
Yeah, it was really well done. It got edged out slightly on my list, but yeah, I just wanted to point out like that's an incredible cast, very harrowing, and yeah, Charlie Plummer again played a very complicated villain in that, and I loved every moment.
Cool. All right, number 7, Jacob.
All right, coming in at number 7 for me is Danny Boyle's 28 Years Later.
Nice.
Yeah, no, I mean, I remember seeing the original 28 Days Later, way back in the 2000s. And for one thing, I never would have expected to have gotten the first sequel 28 Weeks Later, but 28 Years Later is so unique, especially for a long distance sequel that has been kind of the case with a lot of these sort of legacy sequels as of late. But it does it right in that it just goes completely different with it, in that it's more of a dark post-apocalyptic coming of age movie, since it's about this boy who's growing up in this encampment surviving village that has their own rules and sort of lifestyle to keep everyone safe, and he gets his first taste of the outside world and the horrors within, with all the infected on the mainland from their island getaway, and it just kind of, and he is trying to save his mother, who's ill, but they don't have the resources to help her, so he decides to see this doctor played by Ralph Fiennes, who has, with the other sequel coming, he has the Bone Temple, just like just the imagery is so striking too in this, with like the piles of constructed bones and the wreckage of the pre-apocalypse. So it just really got to me, and that like the horror is definitely in the rage infected, but there's just such a great emotional core to the movie that it was just so striking.
You guys did notice, I'm sure, that the Asylum made 28 months later.
Oh.
That's leave it to them. The actual franchise missed it, but the Asylum's like, oh, I'll take that.
Can't wait to watch that.
Correia, what's your number 7?
So my number 7 is Freaky Tales.
Nice.
This was one I heard a lot about, never really got to, and then just one evening was like looking for something to watch, and then I found it, and then I remembered, oh yeah, Freaky Tales is a thing, I should watch that. And I love moments like that when it's a movie where it's like, okay, I'll watch this, and then I just obsess over it. It's got everything for me. It takes place in 80s LA. You got Nazis fighting punks and the punks winning. You got a heist. There's a bit of like 70s exploitation in there. A lot of altogether, it was very 80s LA. And what I appreciated about it is it didn't just focus on one subset of culture. Because as someone who like grew up more punk, but like also was really into hip hop and is very into the history of hip hop, it was great seeing like these two sects kind of come together and meld, especially uniting under the banner of beating the shit out of Nazis. So like, that's always great. Plus, baby girl Pedro Pascal's in it, which is always good. So yeah, no, I mean, Freaky Tales is just a hell of a fun time.
All right, number 6. My number 6 is Begonia. This is Yorgos Lanthimos being Yorgos Lanthimos, and it's questionably horror, but I think the horror in Begonia comes from what Jesse Plemons and Aidan Delbus think is happening, because it's more science fiction than horror, because they think that there's this alien invasion happening, but the lengths they go to help, I guess, prevent it gets a little horrific, and that's where Emma Stone comes in. But yeah, Yorgos, I mean, this isn't quite as horror as, say, Poor Things or Killing of a Sacred Deer, but it's Yorgos, and everything Yorgos makes is a little horror, I guess, because he's just one of those, whether you like him or hate him, you have to admit that what he does is interesting. So even if you don't like Yorgos Lanthimos, you're still going to hate watch his movies just because you're not going to see anything quite like it. So anyway, my number 6, Begonia. Jacob, number 6.
Coming at number 6 on my list is The Long Walk.
Nice.
Hey.
Yeah, no, I had to put it in there. Again, I've been talking about emotional cores of horror, and I feel that this one just really nailed the balance of the tension with the companionship. And I totally agree that Cooper Hoffman and David Johnson's friendship through the film is the cornerstone that makes it work, along with the interactions with the rest of the boys. And I read some post somewhere just that like that this is the type of movie that's relatable to a lot of kids these days, because it, just with the state of the world, it does feel like they're just trying to move forward with a gun to their back. And Mark Hamill, just really stood out as the bad guy, the major. And he's been on a real good run for King adaptations lately, between this and Life of Chuck. Very differing roles, though. And also got to give a big shout out to Judy Greer as Ms. Garrity, who, again, just kind of lays on the tension and emotional strain of the long walk. So yeah, no, it really got to me. And just like you feel sometimes that you're getting numb to violence, even fictional violence. But anytime there was a gunshot in this movie, I jumped. Like it just really knew how to just keep you on the edge of your seat.
When Judy Greer pops up later in the movie, fuck it, and you knew it was coming. It's just start welling up. It's just like no. It was like the reality of their situation was reset when Cooper Hoffman's character saw her again, because it was like this whole time it was like, yeah, I'm on this thing, but then once like reality came back in, it was like no, brutal.
All right, Correia, number 6.
Number 6. My number 6 was 28 Years Later. I thought it was phenomenal. One of the things that I really appreciated about that movie, because it's been a while since Danny Boyle has made 28 Days Later. And since then, we've seen him go through so many different eras of like experimenting with editing and camera work and like what you can be doing. And I love that he did not go, oh, well, I have to keep this more in line with like the franchise or whatever. He still did his experimenting. He still went out there. Those night shots on the like when they're running from the thing on the water was incredible. I don't know how they pulled that off, but it looked insane. And so, yeah, I really appreciated that. There seemed to be like a natural progression on what was happening with the rage virus, seeing what happened. I love that post apocalypse society exploration on like what it would look like if we were in this type of situation. But again, also just the fact that they were experimenting a lot with what they were doing with the camera work and the editing was just phenomenal. My only complaint was not enough Jodie Comer, but that's my complaint with most anything.
Cool. We're halfway through, and it's exactly what I expected. Lots of good stuff. My number 5, well, and the funny thing is like a lot of the stuff that you guys are saying are my honorable mentions. That just tells you how good of a year this has been,
We're going to start fighting soon. This is when the gloves come off.
My number 5 is Bring Her Back.
Oh.
And it was no secret that Talk to Me was one of my favorite movies of that year. And Bring Her Back is just more of the same. And again, just kind of like Vicious. This is just such a mean and dirty movie. And Sally Hawkins just brings it home as she's basically this woman who gets foster kids brings foster kids into her home. And her whole intent is to, I don't want to spoil anything, but she has intentions with these kids. And it is the latest foster kids that came in. One of them is a visually impaired girl, and then her brother, who they're already adopted siblings. So their bond is more than just like birth. It's like, they're growing up together. So, they have each other's backs. And this movie, the bond between the main teenage boy and the little girl, you're like, okay, everybody needs a sibling like this.
Yeah.
Like, it is, grapefruit. Uh,
It's the total opposite of the other Sally Hawkins taking in a foster kid movie, Paddington.
Yeah. Sally Hawkins can do it all. I'm a big fan. But anyway,
she absolutely can, dude. Like the stuff that she did in that and Take Her Back with her body and her face. Who gave you permission, girl? That was too much. I loved it.
Yep. All right. Number 5 is Bring Her Back for me. Jacob, what's your number 5?
For me, I went with VHS Halloween at number 5, featuring the directorial talents of Brian M. Ferguson, Casper Kelly, Michelle Pitt Norman, R.H. Norman, Alex Ross Perry, Paco Plaza, and Anna Zlotkovic. And, I'm a big fan of found footage and anthologies, so of course I've been a real ride or die for the VHS films, and I've been loving the themes they've been going for lately, previously with the years, more recently with the genres, because last year we had VHS Beyond, which was the sci-fi horror found footage compilation, and this year, an all Halloween themed VHS is brilliant. Just so many of the segments were unique and fun spins on them. Like I like the Coochie Coo one. That one was really out there and weird, and just the exclamation point of the film was Home Haunt, which basically just took the concept of a Halloween home haunt and what if all the decorations and monsters came to life, and it was a good time. So yeah, no, just it just really resonated with me, and just each segment really stood out from one another. Casper Kelly's Fun Size, of course, was really bizarre and nightmarish. So, just nailed that one on the head. So, yeah, no, I just really love how how this one came together. And I'm very excited for whatever VHS comes next year. Although at the Q&A at Beyond Fest, they did talk about possibly doing a VHS Florida. So just all Florida segments of a VHS movie.
Which will probably be the most horrifying one.
Yeah.
They said it'd be a documentary.
Documentary. All right, Correia, number 5.
We're going to start fighting, I swear. The placement of this movie just shows how strong this year was.
Oh, my top 4 are all like that. Actually, my top 5, because Bring Her Back. But yeah, okay, what do you got?
My number 5 is Zach Krager's Weapons.
Oh, okay.
Ooh, listen.
This would be number 1 in any other year.
Any other year, this would have been number 1. Exactly. Any other year, and but I had, that top 5 was like flipped around a lot this morning, except for number 1. Number 1 had its place, but yeah, I mean, Weapons just what a refreshingly twisted, beautiful, like almost fairy tale like fantasy set within like a true crime lens. Just weird all around. Loved it, and of course, can't praise Amy Madigan's performance enough. Always been a fan of her, especially since playing McCoy on Streets of Fire, but unrecognizable.
Yeah.
And again, I have a framed photo of her on my desk from Streets of Fire. And it still took like at least 10 minutes of her performance. She did like one facial thing, and I just went, McCoy. So
I didn't even know until the closing credits. I'm like, that was Amy Madigan?
But that blew me away.
Yeah, the tone of shifting, the perspective shifting, the fact that like it was dealing with such fantastical things such as witches and whatnot, but like kept it grounded. Just the performance is phenomenal. I mean, yeah, no, it's one that like want to keep going back to and rewatching and just catching all the little things again, I loved Weapons. And again, any other year would have been number 1. And I'm going to be saying that for every single one of these ones coming up. Any other year would have been number 1, but number 1 took its spot.
All right. Well, on to number 4, and number 4, any other year would be number 1, but my number 4 is Weapons. And everything Correia said, ditto. Weapons. I actually watched Weapons again the other night just to kind of try to solidify my top 4. Because like you said, they were kind of flip-flopping. And you're right. When you go back and rewatch it, knowing what's going on, you see things, and it is. And again, Amy Madigan, if she does not get not just a nomination, but she needs to win Best Supporting.
Yeah.
Because chameleonic. She's incredible.
She's definitely won in impersonations over at Hamburger Mary's and all those other drag spots at downtown in WeHo.
And there was somebody at Horror Trivia who did and Gladys and won Best Singular Costume this year.
Nice.
Cool. My number 4, weapons. Jacob, what's your number 4?
All right. Well, here's where things begin to twist, because coming at number 4 for me is Harvest Brood by Joe Meredith. Some of you may recall that I talked about this film back in October. Joe Meredith is a kind of regional filmmaker who posts pretty much all his stuff on YouTube online. And, this is one of those movies that genuinely unsettled me. Like, it actually scared the shit out of me. And it's basically about this October in 2006 in Alabama, where a bunch of people are starting to disappear and there are murders being committed as they get closer to Halloween. And like a former detective's investigating is kind of shot in a mockumentary style mixed with found footage. And it seems like a fairly typical slasher. There's this dude with a bag head, kind of like Jason in Friday the 13th Part 2, but then it starts to go into this very dark underbelly of what happened in this former company town. And it just kind of goes deeper and deeper into the dark side of this community and how it connects to Halloween. And it just has this real grit to it that is very unsettling. And like all these very well done practical effects in terms of gore and slime and goo that makes it so visceral. And I do appreciate these shot on video and regional efforts, especially in trying to capture the kind of period style, especially when you're going for found footage like that. So if you haven't seen it yet, check out Harvest Brood on YouTube, and you'll see why it made number 4.
It's on YouTube?
It's on YouTube, and it's only 53 minutes.
Oh, ooh, nice. Cool. There's always time for that.
I was about to say, you just sold us.
Yeah, that's host length.
I'm telling you, it'll scare the crap out of you.
Let's go to Correia, number 4.
Number 4. Again, this one was a tough one because I had to include one, but I couldn't include both. And I had to include this one because the theatrical experience was incredible. Predator's Killer of Killers is not only the best Predator movie of this year. Badlands is great. Killer of Killers is perfect. And Killer of Killers really is and feels like the ultimate Predator movie. You get multiple eras of predators fighting humans, fighting against different warriors, different sects. You get to see different kinds of predators fighting them too. And I was very worried about when the trailer released of seeing like the dogfight. I'm like, I'm sure that's gonna be cool, but we're gonna get decimated. And the fact that they made it all work, the animation is gorgeous, the mythology and lore building is incredible. I mean, again, Killer of Killers, I think, is just the ultimate Predator movie. Is it the best Predator movie? That's up for debate. But I do think it is like the perfect, like, this is purely just Predator stuff going on. And I loved it. That film, just thinking about it, gives me an energy boost.
When I was stumping for that in the San Diego Film Critics Society Awards, I was stumping for that for Best Animated, and K-Pop Demon Hunters took the award. So I was cool with that. But when I was trying to convince people Killer or Killers, because it did get nominated, one of my colleagues called it Anyone Can Kill a Predator, which is kind of funny.
Franchise, dude.
Yeah.
The Predators lose so often. They're not.
But they're supposed to be the ultimate hunters.
I know.
The predators hunt xenomorphs, which are indestructible.
I know. Well, it's Star Trek, right? It's like in Star Trek when all these aliens are far more advanced, far more logical, far more smarter, and yet humans are at the center of it. And people are like, why is that? It's like, well, clearly you never watched Enterprise, you fucking mook. But anyways, this isn't about a Star Trek podcast, Correia. Yeah. God.
All right. Moving on. My number 3, and again, it pains me to put this at number 3 because I loved it so much.
Any other year.
It's a tough year.
Number 3 is Good Boy.
Oh.
I absolutely, getting back to like what we were saying with Presence, the haunted house movie from the spirits perspective, Good Boy is from the dog's perspective. And I tell you, Indy the dog, this dog needs not just an animal performance award. This dog needs best actor nominations. This dog is incredible. And also, I mean, I know that a lot probably ended up on the cutting room floor and it took them a year and a half to shoot the movie. The director, Ben Lienberg, he deserves a lot of the credit because Indy is his dog. And what he was able to get his dog to do, I mean, as an owner of 3 freaking goober dogs, yeah, hats off to him because I couldn't get that kind of performance out of any of my dogs or all 3 of them put together. So yeah, Good Boy. I mean, it's no surprise that it's this high on my list since I'm such a dog lover, but it is a bit of a surprise that it is such a good movie, honestly, because it could have been just a gimmick.
I knew it was because it's a dog movie and it's got a decent runtime. I was like, this is going to be Jay's top 3.
I love my 73-minute movies. Yep. I love those. I love those short ones.
I finally watched it the other day and I got to say, I was being real tough throughout the whole movie. And then the end got me. I welled up a bit. I was like, oh no, he's such a good boy.
He's not just a clever name.
He's the goodest.
All right. Jacob, what's your number 3?
All right, coming in at number 3 is, again, very tough year just because there's so many to choose from. Zach Cregger's Weapons.
Nice.
Yeah, it had to make the list. Like, you know, just I base a lot of this on what my experiences was like seeing the movie, especially theatrically, and seeing Weapons with a full house at the AMC Boston Common IMAX just made it for a hell of an experience. And just that, you know, the scares were on point. Like even a door opening got people screaming and jumping in their seats. Like everybody is so on edge. And it is such an interesting story, especially because, you know, like he even pitched it as Magnolia as a horror movie, and it just nails that to a T with like all the different chapters and interconnecting stories. And again, yeah, big shout out to Amy Madigan as Aunt Gladys, who probably is one of the bigger horror icons to debut this year. And yeah, no, just everybody involved, you know, like Julia Garner and Josh Brolin and Benedict Wong, you know, just like it all really came together. And it's such an interesting spin on kind of the stranger danger and like take the children kind of subgenres in horror. And I do love hearing a lot about the making of the movie from Zach Cregger, because he was talking about, you know, like doing meditations kind of like or transcendental meditations like David Lynch, and, you know, adding stuff like the assault weapon above the house, which he says, you know, like he doesn't have an explanation for it. He just put it in. So you know, and it does help kind of convey the nightmare quality of the movie, right down to the scene where Benedict Wong's character and his husband are eating 7 hot dogs together. You know, just there's so many quirks to this movie. It just keeps on making you think more about it.
Yeah, 7 hot dogs, the perfect Thanksgiving breakfast.
All right, Correia, number 3.
Number 3, I'm going to keep saying it. Any other year. And you guys know I was shouting praises about this movie last year, and it's a little sad that it's not number 1 because Any Other Year, but it's Companion.
Yes.
Drew Hancock's Companion. Again, Jacob and I saw it at an advanced screening with Beyond Fest back in 2024. Yeah, and this was back when they still only had like the teaser that was like from the studio that brought you Barbarian and The Notebook. and it just the crowd reaction of nobody knowing anything about this movie to everything in it was stellar. Great performances. I applaud any movie that essentially only has like 4 to 6 people in it and can keep you engaged and surprise you as much. And this film would above and beyond that. Just everyone was on top tier God mode. Not to mention the Cities of Angels reference with Jack Quaid's characters and the Goo Goo Dolls was just chef's kiss. I don't even know. I think Jack even said like, I don't even know if Drew understood that like that's my mom was in that movie. So, but yeah, it's just a fantastic film. I wish the trailers and stuff hadn't spoiled so much of it, but yeah, loved Companion. What a great statement about where we're heading with the male loneliness epidemic.
Oh yeah.
All right, on to number 2, and my number two is Companion.
Hey,
pretty much everything Correia just said. Again, ditto. And for me, number 1 and number 2 kept flip-flopping all like just in the last 24 hours. They flip-flopped probably 3 or 4 times. And the reason I finally put Companion at 2 instead of what is ultimately my number 1 is a lot of Companion, I think, was the experience I had because I didn't get to see it in the theater, months before like you guys, but I did get to see it. I got a screener before it was released. And if I had known anything about that movie, and you guys had even warned me about it before I saw it yourself, going completely blind, which was the best advice ever. If I had known anything, if I had even looked at a poster, I don't think it would have been as enjoyable of a movie because the whole Iris sleep moment, my jaw dropped. I'm like,
right,
that's the kind of movie we're watching now. So that is ultimately what put this down to number 2. And again, any other year, it would be number 1. But ultimately, because I think some of my enjoyment was from the experience and not the movie. I mean, it's an amazing movie, but the experience of not knowing anything going into it, which, I mean, I say that about any movie, but in this one, it actually, seriously, if you are lucky, if you don't know anything about Companion right now, and stop listening right now and go watch it without hearing anything else. In fact, I've already said too much by saying Iris sleep. But anyway, yeah, Companion's my number 2.
I said too much referencing Goo Goo Dolls. Sorry, guys.
So Companion, number 2. Jacob, what's your number 2?
Yeah, no, I'm kind of taking a step back. I do wish I had rewatched Companion since then, because I think I had put it on my list last year while being vague about it. So, it's always so confusing when it kind of jumps in between years like that. But I do love Companion, so big shout out to that. But at number 2 for me this year, I put in Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein, which...
Sorry. But I had a little meltdown because I was like poring over my list this morning. I was like, I feel like I'm forgetting something. Yeah. God damn it. Okay. No, continue.
There's too many movies.
Can we restart this?
Such an amazing year. Yeah.
Exactly. Our cup runneth over with great horror films this year.
Oh, man.
And Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein is such an incredible modern adaptation of Mary Shelley's classic, which I would expect nothing less from del Toro, considering his continued love and admiration for Shelley's novel and the ensuing adaptations in the centuries since. And I mean, he just got such an amazing cast with Oscar Isaac as one of the best Victor Frankenstein since Peter Cushing, Jacob Elordi giving such a powerful and emotional performance as the monster, and then you got Christoph Waltz and Mia Goth. It just again, cup runneth over. And I do love how it's told in a very traditional manner from the novel, that we get Victor's side of the story, we get the creature's side of the story, and it's so emotional. And this is undoubtedly a horror movie. Like, I'd heard some debate, but it's Frankenstein. Of course it's a horror movie. It's about somebody conquering death and realizing their mistake and the existential horrors therein. It is horror.
It's more of a horror movie than the novel is a horror novel. Yeah. The novel is almost more sci-fi, but Guillermo del Toro, and this is probably the most faithful Frankenstein we've gotten. But it is definitely more of a horror movie than the source material is a horror novel, in my opinion.
This is true. I mean, of course, Del Toro takes his own creative takes on this version, but it does stick to the core concept and skeleton of Shelley's original novel. But yeah, no, and as horrifying as it is, it has such a great emotional core. Like the scene with the creature and the blind man played by David Bradley, I actually cried. Like it, just talking about friendship and life and death. It is a great rumination on, like what's worse, to die or to live forever, and what to do with our lives and the time we have, which I'm noticing has been kind of a consistent through line through a bunch of horror movies this year. But yeah, no, this was Del Toro's dream project, and it shows, and you can tell he put as much effort into it as one director can. So it just really struck me, and I loved it, and I do really need to rewatch it soon. I'm so happy I was able to see it theatrically and on film at the Egyptian Theater.
Cool. Correia, number 2.
None of this matters anymore. I forgot Frankenstein. Like that's I'm kicking myself so fucking because like I have been thinking about that movie so much, and I don't know why. I think it was just because I was basing it off a list I made and forgot to add it to my genre list. But like, it is a horror film. I hate whenever someone's like, "This film's really well made." It's not a horror film. Fuck you. It's Frankenstein. It's a horror film. And again, horror is just genre that's classification for putting shit on a shelf. So go fuck yourselves. My number 2, to continue on, Frankenstein would have been on my list, and it would have been high up if I had been more awake putting this together. But my number 2 was one that I love surprise hits. For me at least, things that I wasn't anticipating, things that come out of nowhere. I especially appreciate films that make me nauseous, that make me almost hurl. I love films.
I know where you're going.
That fuck with me on a physical level, and the only film to do that this year was The Ugly Stepsister.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
good call.
Ugly Stepsister was for me this year's Volderlock. It's a foreign film I knew very little of, popped it on, and just like have been obsessing with it ever since. Everything, because we've seen the dark tale or the dark side, dark take on a classic fairy tale, and this film is basically like, no, the original was fucked because this is how it plays out. And I love the perspective. I love that there's no real clear defined villain. Everyone kind of sucks in their own way. And yeah, the horrors are horrifying. And their basis in reality make them even worse. And yeah, the tapeworm.
Yeah,
I know.
Nasty.
I know. I just ate, so I don't want to talk about the tapeworm too much. But goddamn. But yeah, between that and what was it? The
eye scene.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With the spreading the cocaine in the eye. Ugh. So yeah, no, I mean, Ugly Stepsister, everything about it, from like the costumes, the acting, the gore, it's just phenomenal. That was a real sleeper for me, and I appreciated the fuck out of it.
Do we all have the same number 1?
I think we
do.
I'm pretty sure we do. Since I think we all have the same number 1, let's do our honorable mentions like in like a round robin here, because like before we get to number 1. Because
do we? Because apparently I forgot Frankenstein came out this fucking year. So who knows? Maybe I forgot number 1.
Let's do our honorable mentions. My honorable mentions, it's pretty much everything that you guys have mentioned. Like, Hard Eyes could be on there, 28 years later, Final Destination. A few that we have not mentioned yet, they're honorable mentions for Bone Lake, which is another one of those that I kind of wrote off by the name. And then when I watched it, I was like, yeah, no, don't write this off. Death of a Unicorn, which, was the Jurassic Park movie I didn't know I needed. Every year that there's been an Ari Aster movie, it's been on my top 10. This just shows how strong horror is this year. That Eddington is an honorable mention. Not really horror, and I liked it more than Beau is Afraid, and Beau is Afraid made my top 10. So that, again, shows you how strong of a year it is. And also a couple of foreign movies that got their U.S. release in this year. Red Rooms and The Coffee Table.
Ooh, yeah.
Both of those are honorable mentions for me. But yeah, too much good stuff this year. What about you, Jacob? What are your shout outs?
Oh yeah, no, there was just so many horror movies, it was impossible to stick them on one list. Again, Companion was kind of a flip because I saw it last year, so I just kind of it's taken out of that, but it was a brilliant film, and I'm with Jonathan that I'm glad we were able to go into it as blind as possible before the more spoilery commercials and marketing came out.
I think Brett Bachman, didn't he say that you guys were at the only screening that was going to be completely fresh?
Yeah,
I believe so.
Yeah, I mean, you guys were so lucky to be there. I wish I could.
Oh yes. No, I mean it was a delight, and they should have stuck with the ambiguity of the film for the marketing. But yeah, no, a lot of good stuff. I also want to give a big shout out to Trick or Treat with Reed Richmond, which I mean is kind of a horror movie, but is another spin-off in Chris LaMartina's WNUF universe, and I really love it because it so beautifully captures that era of Sci-Fi Channel specials and commercials and stuff. So it's something I've rewatched a few times this year. It makes great background noise. Also, in terms of stuff that we haven't come up yet, Elric Kane's The Dead Thing was a really solid horror movie. I'm really glad I got to see the film print screening of it at the New Bev, and dealing with the dangers of trying to find love and obsession. And let's see what else. Oh yeah, I love the Silent Night, Deadly Night remake. I just saw that this week for Christmas Eve, and horror remakes can be a mixed bag, but I really think that this version captured the spirit and style of the original while doing a fun twist on itself. And big shout out to Rowan Campbell, who makes an incredible Billy and kills a shitload of Nazis. So, you gotta love that stuff. And Ruby Modine is really good as Pamela, one of the other leads. So, yeah, if you haven't seen the Silent Night, Deadly Night remake yet, I tell you got to give it a shot. And a couple other quick things. Big Baby by Spider-One. Glad I got to see that at Screamfest. I hope it gets a big release soon. Night of the Reaper. Really like that. Dangerous Animals, solid shark/slasher movie with Jai Courtney at his most Australian. They Call Her Death, which is kind of a spaghetti western throwback, but with horror elements. And of course, The Ugly Sister, which I'm with Jonathan, and that one made me queasy.
Yeah.
So basically, everything you've seen this year is an honorable mention.
No. Oh, believe me, there's a ton more stuff I've seen that I have not mentioned, but also a big shout out to Good Boy.
Yeah. All right, Correia, what are your honorable mentions?
Well, apparently Frankenstein is an honorable fucking mention. Jeez, I'm so mad at myself right now, but I'm also looking.
Where would you have put it?
That's the thing, is it throws my whole list off. I can't say it because
the equations are out the window.
Listen, we've just spent the last hour listing off our thing, so the list is solidified. But it would have thrown it off. It would have thrown it off hard. So yes, honorable mention.
Would it have been like number 2, number 3? Would it have supplanted number 1?
No.
Okay.
But it would have supplanted a lot. It would have shifted a lot of things around. It would have had me rethinking of there would have been a few titles knocked off because of it. And just for the rearranging. So yeah, no, I mean, shout out to Frankenstein, the most perfect Frankenstein adaptation there is out there. Guillermo del Toro, you are a god amongst men. Thank you. I want to give a special honorable mention. I haven't seen it yet, but to Silent Night, Deadly Night remake, Mike P. Nelson, just for the fact that you have a 10-minute sequence of Santa Claus killing
8
Nazis?
minutes.
8 minutes. Bravo. I have seen that. They put that online for a little bit. I watched it a couple of times. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
I'm always down for the cinematic killing of Nazis because we don't advocate real life violence, but I'm also
fuck those Nazis.
Actually, no, fuck that. Fuck Nazis. Go punch a Nazi. It's Christmas.
My most disappointing thing about Sisu Road to Revenge was that it was commies and not Nazis that he was killing this time.
Yeah,
not as satisfying.
No, it isn't. It's the same issue that happened with Crystal Skull. So some other honorable mentions. Hard Eyes was such an amazing time. A lot of my honorable mentions were on your guys' list, so I'm going to try to pick a few that weren't on any list. Predators, the How to Catch a Predator or To Catch a Predator documentary is great. And as someone who has been watching a lot of true crime documentaries, it's great to see one that actually does a good job with the editing. Is it melodramatic with it? Everyone's trying to be Errol Morris without any fucking skill these days, and it's bothering the shit out of me. Don't and they're not researching their shit. But this film asks a lot of questions and leaves it very doesn't give like a definite answer. It just asks these hard questions, presents on a few different sides, but then is also leaving it to the audience to kind of navigate where this gray area of the questioning is. And I really appreciate that. Soderbergh's other film, Black Bag, was an amazing little thriller. I loved it so much. It was sexy. It had action. Just phenomenal. Woman in the Yard was a very surprising one for me. I went in thinking it was going to be Candyman, and it wasn't. And I was very excited with the result. Life of Chuck, not really horror, but goddamn, that was the most Flanagan movie ever. And I appreciated the shit out of it. Just all around stellar. Really, you hear things where it's like, walk out of the theater loving life or get life affirming movie. And I always like kind of not scoff, but I go, oh yeah, sure. But genuinely, I felt zest for life after seeing that. Him might not have been the best movie ever, but I had so much fun with it. And it was so visually delicious. Like, come on.
And you got to shout out Naomi Grossman for that.
Yeah.
Speaking of chameleonic.
Yeah, she was phenomenal in that. Just everything about it. And Julia Fox coming in and just saying the most absurd shit.
It goes up your ass.
It goes up your ass. Yeah. Yeah, that's iconic. It's speaking of iconic wordage or verbiage. I got to give a shout out to Tina Romero's Queens of the Damned. Tina Romero being George A. Romero's daughter. Made a really fun, really campy zombie film that really does feel like the New York club kid scene, Shaun of the Dead, and also has Jack Haven from I Saw the TV Glow and Bill and Ted 3 in an ultra femme role. And there's one point where she gets an axe in her leg and she goes, I have an axe wound. And one of the other characters goes, oh, stop bragging. So that was a hell of a fun time. But again, I also want to praise my last honorable mention, The God Man, the 10-minute short film that's on YouTube. It's 10 minutes. It's on YouTube. The animation is phenomenal. And the amount of existential cosmic dread that I felt watching that was beautiful. So absolute shout out to Andrew Forrester, who wrote, directed, and also I believe he does some of the he voices Jonah in it. Just phenomenal work.
All right, let's get to it.
All right, let's move on to our number one. We all have the same number one, War of the Worlds, right?
Oh yeah.
No, did we actually talk about? No, we didn't. No. You made me watch War of the Worlds, and I hate you for that.
If I was going to make a worst of list, which I don't do because it's punching down, but I'm going to punch down for a second. War of the Worlds is terrible. But anyway.
the amount of ads I saw during War of the Worlds for man wipes just lets you know how bad that movie is.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Let's go to number one. Let's do it all at the same time since I'm pretty sure we have the same ones. Let's on 3. 1, 2, 3. Sinners.
Hey.
Yeah,
is this the first time?
I believe this is the first time this has happened.
This is the first time that we've all had the same number one, and well deserved. Sinners it's amazing. This movie, I mean, everything about it. The music is amazing. Michael B. Jordan playing twins. Both his roles are amazing. The support cast, it's not even a support cast, it's an ensemble, is amazing. Just the direction is solid. And not quite Nazis, but you get to see a lot of KKK guys die.
Oh, still satisfying. Satisfying as fuck. Yeah.
I would say 1A, 1B with Nazis and KKK guys dying.
Yeah.
It is.
Go Go out and punch
Sinners.
some Klansmen.
And what more can we say about Sinners? Because everyone's probably seen it at this point. But yeah,
Michael B. Jordan killed it.
I hope Sinners cleans up at the Oscars. I had a dream when it was a little newer of a movie that it took the top 5 Oscar, the big 5. Yeah. And I really hope it does.
I got a sneaking suspicion that it's going to win big this year.
I hope so.
Yeah, Sinners is a once in a generation, I think, type of I haven't met a single person who was overly was negative about it. It just it's so authentically itself that it takes no apologies about anything. I don't even see, because we talk about often, our very first episode is about this, that when a horror movie is good, people try to say, oh, it's not a horror film. No one's doing that with this because you can't. It's fucking vampires.
This is a horror movie. Yeah,
this is a horror movie.
You can't Silence of the Lambs your way out of this.
No,
this is horror. Yeah.
No, but vampires, man.
But it's not just a vampire movie. There's so many layers. Everything is so intentional. Everything is so there. And I know we're all praising Michael B. Jordan's performance, which is incredible. But what they did technically to pull that off, like that opening shot of the twins and then passing the cigarette, pulling that off with an IMAX camera on your shoulder, insane. The camera work, the lighting, the costuming, everything is intentional. Everything has a purpose. Historically accurate with so much of it, from like having the 2 shops owned by the Chinese family on both sides serving different things, just everything about it. And then not only that, but we get a buddy guy performance at the end. Fuck off, dude. Like, this is it's again, for a lot of these movies any other year, but this was Sinners' year.
Yeah, exactly. That's and like I said, I was flip-flopping Companion and Sinners. But ultimately, I was like on a purely movie level, not experience seeing it, movie level. I got it. I had to go Sinners.
I saw it 3 times.
I saw Sinners 3 times in IMAX, and it just keeps getting better. It's undoubtedly one of the best and most rewatchable movies of the year. And that soundtrack is so amazing. I've got the score and the soundtrack on vinyl. And also a big shout out to Jack O'Connell as Remick, who is one of the most entertaining vampire villains since Chris Sarandon as Jerry Dandridge. Like, I could just see him be like a freaky little vampire guy for hours. And also he does such a great dance to Rocky Road to Dublin. It's just such a solid cast between, Michael B. Jordan and Delroy Lindo, Haley Steinfeld. It just really hooks you in. And it's such an interesting genre mashup because it has some musical elements, it's horror, it's action, it's period drama and dealing with a lot of actual horrors of Jim Crow era South. Coogler just constructed an amazing movie that is no surprise it's our triple number 1.
It would have been so easy for them to make the White Boys vampire, their music be just like really bad compared to the awesome juke joint music. But when you listen to the White Boy Irish folk that they do, you're like, no, they did that right too. Like everybody in this movie is talented. Even the vampires.
Well, it's that understanding of knowing that, especially back then, like, the Irish weren't treated too different. They still are under occupation from England and things of that nature. So there is a kindred spirit there. There is a kindred spirit in between the music of the cultures. And I like that it wasn't even like looking at Jack O'Connell's character of Remick, like, he's a villain, but he's probably the most sympathetic villain we've seen in some time, because he's not there to destroy. He's there to get back to family and to build that family, and he's creating it. And because like once you're part of the vampire gang, they were having fun. Stack definitely was having fun in there, but super shout out to Jamie Lawson as Pearline, because her musical performance I don't see enough people talking about, 'cause she absolutely served on that stage.
And Miles Caton, I guess, learned how to play guitar for the movie. So
did he?
Yeah, you got it. You got to give a shout out to him too.
Would have never known that.
Right, I know. Yeah,
just learned it, because phenomenal work. And yeah, Delroy Lindo deserves best supporting.
So right on. So Sinners, a triple threat, triple play. Right on. Before we sign off, we have to have a moment of silence for Deputy So-and-so, James Ransone.
Mm-hmm.
These kind of things for me, especially like suicides, always kind of hit hard because my own struggles with my own mental health and, anxiety and depression. So it really makes me sad. But if you're struggling, reach out to anybody, reach out to us, hit us up on our socials. And there's always someone to talk to. And rest easy, Deputy So-and-so, because this is a sad one.
All right. Yeah.
These are our top 10s. What are yours? Is Sinners at the top of yours? This is, as we were going on this and Sinners didn't pop up on either of yours, I was like, I think we all have the same number.
I knew this was going to happen. I knew it.
I kind of thought it was too when, as we got further, then once we got into that top 5, I was like, okay, we're all saying Sinners, which it's justified because it's the best movie.
We also sometimes share our list with each other beforehand, and I did, and then I quickly withdrew it and was like, wait, no. I want a surprise, especially if I end up changing.
I like being surprised. Yeah, I think,
it's more fun that way.
Yeah, one year, didn't you flip your 1 and 2 like while we were recording one year, I feel?
I think I did. I don't remember what that was.
I don't remember either, but I remember you had flipped it.
I think I did it too.
Yeah.
All year. But I also remember knocking down Nosferatu pretty fucking hard at the last second on my list last year, because I was just like, no, Volderlock, baby.
Yeah. All right, let's get out of here because we've run insanely over, but it's justified because it's the top 10s, and hey, we had to talk about Sinners a lot.
Yes.
So let us know your top 10s. Let us know if you agree with us. If you don't agree with us on Sinners, you're wrong, because clearly Sinners is the best movie of the year. Our theme song is by Restless Spirit, so go check them out. And our artwork is by Chris Fisher, so go check him out. You can check us out on all the socials under iHorror or at iHorror.com. And we're probably going to take a little break here. This is the end of season 8, so we'll be back next year with season 9 with, I think we might have some really cool interview, but I don't want to jinx it. So I'm just going to say we'll see you next year. And I hope you had a happy Christmas, happy Hanukkah, joyous Kwanzaa, whatever you celebrate, and have a happy New Year. And we will see you in 2026 for season 9. So for me, James J. Edwards.
I'm Jacob Davison.
And I'm Jonathan Correia.
Keep your eye on horror.